So I just got this idea for a new series that I'm going to start doing because obviously I talk a lot about Star Wars, talk a lot about Pokemon. Then I was like, well, what if different Star Wars characters had different Pokemon? Obviously, that would be a cool idea to explore. So we're going to start with none other than Luke Skywalker himself because where else do you start for this kind of thing, right? So starting with Luke Skywalker. His first Pokemon, I would give him I believe he would have a Sandaconda. The reason why, pretty simple. He's from Tatooine. Deserty planet, desert homeworld, full of sand. We had to get a Pokemon that really represented that. I was kind of torn between Hippowdon and Sandy Shocks, but we ended up going with Sandaconda because it felt like it was the best fit for Luke. Next up, we have Tinkaton, who kind of represents the way he likes to tinker with things. Obviously, his name is Tinkaton. But the way he likes his affinity for connecting with droids and robots like R2-D2, C-3PO. Tinkaton kind of represents R2-D2 and like their close relationship, and how much he enjoys, tinkering, working on them, all that good stuff. Next up, we have probably the most obvious Pokemon on this list, and that is Lucario. Luke's would probably be a Mega Lucario. But obviously that's his connection to the Force. I mean, the aura Force, it's right there. Lucario is probably one of the most I don't want to say popular fighters in Pokemon, but like he really represents that noble Pokemon. Like it's literally a match made in heaven for Luke Skywalker and Lucario. There's very few other Pokemon that fit as well. And so even his ability justified. Like that's Luke. That's completely Luke Skywalker. He feels justified in everything he's doing in defeating the Empire and turning his father Vader back from the dark side. So that's obviously, like I said, really easy fit. Makes perfect sense. I think Lucario and Luke, I mean, they even start with Luke. Like Luke, like they both start, he could even call his Lucario Luke for short. Like, come on. It fits like a glove, honestly. Next up, we have Infernape. And this one is to represent his hot-headedness. We wanted to represent different qualities and attributes of Luke. And there's no Pokemon that's quite as hot-headed as a Pokemon who's literally hot-headed in Infernape. That would be a really good fit. It also represents his fighting spirit, but really just that scrappy, hot-headed fighter nature that Luke has, that we see throughout, the trilogy movies. Infernape is obviously a perfect representation of that. Next up, we have the Pokemon that I feel like fits the second best. You could make an argument for the best, but honestly, it would be Gallade. And Gallade represents his ability as a swordsman, and his classic green lightsaber, as Gallade literally has green blades on his arms. And I thought, like, if it wasn't for Lucario being such a perfect representation of the Force, Gallade could almost represent that as well, because, in its psychic abilities, it can learn psychic. Gallade is probably the Pokemon that, like, most resembles a Jedi. So I think Luke having Gallade, like I said, represents his, and just that righteous passion is the way I'll describe it. Gallade has that righteous passion just like Lucario, and that's why they both would be a great fit for Luke Skywalker. And we have his last Pokemon here. This would be Latios. Latios represents Luke being a great pilot, because he's been flying since he was little, and like his first big feat in Star Wars was destroying the Death Star by connecting to the Force and using that in his mind. And Latios would obviously represent that. I mean, you could easily see Luke zipping around on a Latios, and Latios is literally kind of the jet plane Pokemon. So it represents that aspect of him to a T, but it also represents his connection with Leia. And it's probably, Latios is one of those Pokemon that very famously has a sister that's a different form, a completely different Pokemon. So obviously you can tell which one Leia is going to have. Like, that's not really a hard thing to guess here. But that's why Latios is going to end up being here in this spot, because it represents his connection as a pilot, and it represents him being Leia's brother. So these are the Pokemon, again, to go back over it: Sandaconda, Tinkaton, Mega Lucario, Infernape, Gallade, and Latios. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think this list is accurate? Do you think these would be Pokemon that Luke Skywalker would actually have? And then drop a suggestion on who I should do next. I got some ideas. I want to hear what people would really want to see or hear from. So drop some suggestions on who you think we should do next. And until next time.